your neighbor, you listen to what your boss says, your mother has something to say, and everybody has an opinion. And it really doesn't matter who you talk to. Someone's got an opinion, and it's either one of two things of like, this shelter in place is crazy, or like, oh yeah, we should come back out in 2025. Like, we should just lock this thing up. Like, there seems to be no in between. Everybody has a strong opinion, and everybody, you can literally be at work one morning and you hear thoughts on what you should do, and then that afternoon it's like, wow, the plans have changed. Things are different. It sounds like trouble now this afternoon. Like, you have to turn down the volume of the voices around you. That you could be so tempted, and there's so many different messages coming at us, that you really need to listen to the voice of the Lord. But I think like about 10 or 12 years ago, my family and I, we went on this whitewater rafting trip, and if you're familiar with me, you probably know a little bit about my history around water. If you're not, let me tell you a couple things about me. I have almost drowned. I've drank a lot of ocean water while snorkeling. At one point, I backed my father-in-law's truck into Lake Shelbyville. Fortunately, we got it out before I sunk the thing. But my history around water is no good. And we went on this whitewater rafting trip about 10 or 12 years ago with my wife's family. And we went on this trip with this rafting guide. And this dude's name was Anthony. And it's like 10 or 12 years later, and I can still remember Anthony's name, and I can remember his voice. Because for me, water, that's death. That's trouble. That's another story. That is not good for me. It's like I get tight around water. And so we're going to go on this rafting trip, and I'm going. I mean, everyone in the family is going. I'm going. But for me, it's like I decide to sit on this raft right behind Anthony. It's like, you all can have fun. But I'm going to sit right behind Anthony because I'm going to listen to his voice. I'm turning the volume down on all of you. They tell stories about things that happened that day on the rafting trip. I'm like, yeah, cool. I was getting to know Anthony. That you have to turn the volume down on the voices around you. That in the middle of a whitewater rafting trip, it's like, okay, everything else, turning the volume. The sheep, they don't follow a stranger. I don't know if you spend any time around sheep. They're not, I've been told they're not that smart. The sheep, they don't follow a stranger. They will run from him because they don't know his voice. And right now, like when you hear a foul voice and you hear someone, that's a stranger. That's not what I'm listening to. You got to turn that voice down, and you have got to listen to Jesus. You've got to pay attention and follow what have us do in this season. And then just the fourth application that I want to give you while you're waiting is to lean on, is this idea that leaning on your own understanding, it's going to let you down. Like, we're so tempted right now. Like, I'm tempted to like say, hey, God, I'm going to move on without you, and I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to do this without you because my previous history of doing this without you has worked out so well. Like, this is what I've come to know is like leaning on your own understanding, it'll let you down. That one thing that we've brought back in our house, like during this whole shelter in place, is hide and seek. And like we have a couple older kids, and they're kind of done with hide and seek, but our 3-year-old loves hide and seek. And this week, we've been playing some hide and seek, and so one of the big kids were counting, and I'm hiding with Evie, my 3-year-old daughter, and as we're sitting in a closet, spare bedroom, we hear footsteps. And my 3-year-old, she starts to bark. And it's like dead silence. And now my 3-year-old is barking. And I try to tell her, Evie, you can't, this is not going to work out. And as I'm trying to reason with her, she starts to meow. And I'm thinking, we're going to get caught. And she decided in that moment, no, Dad. No. I'm going to lean on my own understanding. And about 2 seconds later, Mason barges into the closet. And here's the thing. Don't be knocking on my daughter. She's 3. I've got 30 years of wisdom. I got 30 years of history. I got 30 more years of experience playing hide and seek than my daughter does. And in that moment, I try to tell her, hey, lean not on your own understanding. Like, trust me, your dad. I think God's got a few more years on us. I think God's got a little bit more wisdom than we do. I think God knows how this season's going to play out. I think you should wait when you're so tempted. I'm walking forward without you, that you should wait. That you're familiar with this verse of Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not, Evie, lean not wherever you're at, on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. That leaning on your own understanding in this season is going to let you down. That you should lean in to the Lord, that you should put your trust in him, that you should filter your feelings. You say, oh, I'm so done, or I'm not going to follow that, or I'm not like, you have to make this about you and God. But let me tell you, like in this season, that man, you need to lean in. You need to put your trust in him. And application number 5 is this idea that you should burn some bridges. That my biggest fear on the other side of this season, for me personally, as a family, and actually for us as a church, is that we return to doing exactly the same stuff we were doing before this season started. That for me, it's like I'm going to burn some bridges. It's like I'm not going back to that habit. I'm not going back to that pace. I'm not going back to that relationship. I'm not going back to that situation. I'm not going back to that sin. I'm not going back to Monday to Friday schedule. I'm not, whatever it would be, I'm burning some bridges. That it's like this, you just have to understand, like, for some of you, like, May, you were about to walk back across the bridge. You were about to go back to that sin. You were about to go back to that habit. And it's almost like God, like has just said, I'm pulling the plug. I'm turning the power off on the treadmill that you've been on. Like, you're tired. And it's like this opportunity for us just to burn some bridges. Like, I don't do that anymore. And there's this band I listen to called Need to Breathe, and they have this song called Burning Bridges. And they say that we should dance in the light of a lesson learned. And it's like, no, I'm burning the bridge, and I'm going to watch it burn. I'm not going back. That I don't want to be the same. I don't want us to be the same on the other side of this. That I want to take some time to look at my life and what am I actually going to do that's different. But my prayer is that, man, you don't see the same wit, that I don't look the same at home, that I burn some bridges. Like, I'm not going back to that. That you should just know this, like in a simplest way that I can tell you, is that you should really think about, like, walking with God while you're waiting. You should think about, man, I got to talk to God every day in May at 7:14. That I got to trust God. That I got to listen to God. That I got to look to God in this season while I'm waiting. And I would just tell you this, like, to be honest, like, my story in this time of waiting, like, it may be so shallow in comparison to what you're dealing with. That maybe you know someone that's sick. Maybe you've gotten depressed in isolation. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe your kids are nuts, that you're losing it. Maybe your marriage is on the brink because of another shelter in place. And like, I don't know if I can do another month. Like, let me remind you, if you're following Jesus, let me remind you of this promise in Romans 8:28. It says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. That while you're waiting, let me just promise you, while you're waiting, God is working. He's doing something in your life. He's working for the good in your life. So let us be people, let us be followers of Jesus that just wait in this season. Let me just close with this. As things look a little bit different for us right now, but it's kind of like a tradition of ours that we take communion together the first Sunday of the month. And so if you're a follower of Jesus this morning, I would just encourage you, whether you do it on your own, you grab some people in your house. I don't know if you need to grab some bread, you need to grab some juice, whatever it takes to create a representation of Jesus. I want you to take some time today to remember Jesus. And if you're like, whoa, what exactly are you talking about? That Jesus just called us to do this in remembrance of him, that monthly we just take communion together. We take some bread together to remember Jesus' body that was broken for us. And then we just take juice together to remember his blood that was shed on our behalf. And this morning, I just want you to take some time to remember that gift. Remember the fact that the sin you committed last night, where you fell short last week, where you've gotten depressed, where you're down, where you've lost hope, that we have someone that's paid the price for your sin. We have someone that came back on the other side of the grave. And just take a moment this morning to remember Jesus and remember the cross. Hey, let me pray for you. God, we thank you for Jesus. We thank you for the cross. We thank you for the hope that we have in him. God, thanks for paying our ransom. Thanks for filling in the gap for us. God, help us to be people that don't forget that in the time that we're living in. Help us to hold on to that hope. God, let us be people that wait on you. We're done, and we want this season to be over, but more than that, deeper than that, God, we want what you want in this season. And we want to be stronger on the other side of this. So, God, I'm asking for me personally that you allow me to get out of this season everything that you want for me. And would you do the same for those that are listening? It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen.
This is how I fight my battles. 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 It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. 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 It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. 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 This is how. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles.
Hey, Whit, thank you for that message. And as a part of Whit's message, he gave us some applications. And one of those applications is one we'd like to challenge you with, and that's praying at 7:14. We'd like to invite you to join us at 7:14 each morning through the month of May as we come together to unite in prayer. If you'd like to make a commitment to be a part of that, or you want more information, you can contact me at mdawson@homechurchcharleston.org, and I can get that information to you. Also, if today you took a faith step toward Jesus and or you're new to Home Church, we just want to encourage you to take a next step, and you can go to our app and fill out some information there on the next step section and give that information to us, and we'll make contact with you. Hey, that's it for us today, and we're glad that you joined us. We hope and pray that you have a good week.